And so now we have witnessed the conclusion of Joshua versus Hellenius, which, by the way, in the beginning of the fight, it was quite lackluster in the way that a lot of people saw it. You've noticed that in the crowd, they were booing somewhere in the third round, all because of the fact that, let's just be honest, Anthony Joshua had to pick apart Robert Hellenius in a much more methodical way, which eventually led to the seventh round knockout. The problem is, a lot of people don't want to give any consideration to the fact that Deontay Wilder, though, is a special human being and a special athlete. You have to understand that different circumstances come about in a different way in different fights. And what do I mean by that? Well, it's no secret that the reason why a lot of people found Anthony Joshua's performance to be lackluster is because of the simple fact that Deontay Wilder set the bar way too high in terms of fighting somebody like Robert Hellenius. Now, Robert Hellenius, we all know, is an Olympian. We understand that. A Finland national champion in boxing and one of the top staples in the heavyweight division. But if you're a casual of the fight game, let alone boxing, all you know is that Robert Hellenius got knocked out by Deontay Wilder in the first round. And that's all you're going to know. And then the fact that the Saudis' Skills Challenge promotion is trying to put together Anthony Joshua and Wilder, now you want to compare and contrast between the two. Well, I got to tell you, I don't think there's really any correlation to how one person does over the other when it comes to the same common opponent. And what do I mean by that? Just because Anthony Joshua took 7 rounds to take out Robert Hellenius and it only took Deontay Wilder 1 round, it doesn't mean that it's automatic that Wilder is a better fighter or in those terms could have the distinct advantage when they fight, if they fight, and whenever that happens. The thing that you got to understand is that fighting is a very fluid matter. It is a very fluid state of chaos that is going on in that current moment of time, which means that you have to take into consideration, right? Yes, it is great that Deontay Wilder knocked them out in the first round, but let's just say that Robert Hellenius sort of made mistakes way earlier than he did in this fight. And also compound to the fact that Robert Hellenius just learned a whole lot more from that knockout in the first round from Deontay Wilder going into the previous fight that he had, which a lot of people were saying that he fought like in some castle last week, now becoming the late replacement of none other than Dylan White after failing the drug test this weekend. By the way, check out my video on this particular matter, of which I talk about the failed drug tests of Dylan White and the truth behind the drug testings of UFC and boxing. So check out that video if you want to understand the full story of that. But back to this particular story. So please understand that different fights happen in a different situation and different paths of different people's careers. And then you got to take into consideration, this is the heavyweight division. Anybody can knock anybody out at any time. Whereas if this was, let's say, a welterweight fight, a 147 fight, and when I mean welterweight, I don't mean the 170 welterweight of the UFC or MMA in general, but rather the welterweight of boxing, which is at 147. Let's say you had a fight like that tonight going on. You would probably end up seeing 12 rounds just based on the fact that these guys are just not going to hit the same way that, let's say, Anthony Joshua is going to hit. And that's the reason why he got the knockout tonight. Now, a lot of people wanted to see an earlier knockout with all the pressure that they put behind it, but people need to understand that different fighters fight differently, and this is the reason why you're going to see what you're going to see, but at the same time, it doesn't mean by any stretch of the imagination that one fighter is better than the other. Great for Anthony Joshua's win tonight. Great for everybody that was in the undercards that was able to get their fight and get paid, because this fight was on the verge of being canceled along with the entire card, where nobody was going to get paid, where the people that you see in the crowd right now would not have had the opportunity to have this Saturday night out in London in the O2 Arena. All because Anthony Joshua stepped up in a short notice. And by the way, we have to take that into consideration as well. Hellenius is match fit coming into this fight 1 week before, and people don't understand how much sharp you can be coming from that type of situation, coming from a week's fight out. So he had some sort of advantages in that. But the disadvantages that Joshua had was going into a match knowing that he was going to fight somebody a little bit different, somebody a little bit taller. Whereas with Dillian Whyte, you were expecting him to punch at a certain length or a certain range. Rather, now trying to switch that up when you're fighting somebody like Robert Helenius, who's 6'7", has a bit of a longer reach, and obviously has a little bit more experience than Anthony Joshua, not so much on the world stage and the championship level, but nonetheless enough experience to where he can be very dangerous to Anthony Joshua. So these are factors that a lot of people got to take into consideration when they take a look at this fight. Obviously, a lot of people are going to say, oh, well, Anthony is no good, or he's no good compared to this guy, or this and that. Guys, what you saw tonight was absolute world championship level boxing tonight. It's just that some guys have a different way of doing it, and then some guys just have a different circumstances of which makes their fight become the result as they are. So with that in mind, enjoy the fights. There's still UFC on tonight, and we're going to cover that as well. Enjoy.